Hey Guitar Fam and friends, it's Nate here and welcome to this cover song lesson. We're going to take a look at the CCR song, Who Will Stop the Rain. This qualifies as an easy guitar song lesson, so that's great. If you're just getting into changing chords, open chords, strumming, that type of thing, this is going to be great for you to learn. Okay, before we get into the rest of this, I just want to invite you to become part of the guitarfam.com community. All you have to do to get started is go to guitarfam.com, create your complimentary account, and you'll get access to the first module of all of our premium courses, but you'll also get one complimentary private one-on-one video lesson with me. It's great for ironing out a plan for this coming year and then addressing any problem areas too. Of course, you can do that, and then on the Guitar Fam site too, you'll get all the resources for this lesson, like the chord chart, tab, and the jam tracks with vocals, and then without vocals, with guitar, without guitar, so you can sing and jam along too. Now this one is in the key of G major, so the key of G is spelled G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and then F sharp diminished. Let's start this out by going over the chords that we're going to be using. I use a G, and I'm using this 4-finger G the whole time. You don't have to use that one. I think it just sounds more like the recording when I do this. Okay, and then I have a D over F sharp. And when I do that, my thumb is playing that F sharp on the 2nd fret of the low E, but it's also muting the A string so it doesn't ring out. Okay, and then an E minor. I usually use my 2nd, 3rd fingers, but you can use 1st and 2nd, doesn't matter. All 6 strings. C major, D major. Make sure to leave the low E and A strings out. B minor, and then A minor. And if you need help with bar chords like that B minor, one of the courses you get access to, the first module of on the Guitar Fam site, is the bar chord masterclass that'll take you through and get you started on bar chords. It's a really solid foundation. So really the first step here is to make sure that you can go to all of these chords on their own first, or at least spend some time practicing them in your daily practice as you're working on this song. Separate the challenge of strumming and then making chords so it's not overwhelming to put them all together. Once you can go to all of them fairly reasonably, then you can jump into starting to learn the chord progressions and the strumming patterns. So if you're just starting out with this, I would recommend just doing a straight 8th note strumming pattern. The entire song, don't worry about anything else. Just get to where you can play through the entire song with the chord progressions, just using a straight. Something like that for the intro, and we'll get into what that intro is here in a second, but just straight 8th note patterns. I'll show you this later in more detail, but the strumming pattern that's actually being used is something more like this. Just know that we are going to throw that in to make it sound like the recording later. Let's get the chord progressions down and take a look at the big picture of the song. So the intro is a little bit different than the rest of the song because you have some accents or some more like parts that you have to play. So you have a full measure of G, just a straight 8th note. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then another measure of G, but on 3 you stop your 8th notes and just do a quarter note. So 1 and 2 and 3. And then a D over F sharp on 4. Okay, and you'll see a dot under each one of those quarter notes, strums 3, 4, and that just means to choke the notes or cut them short. So G, then I mute them with my palm and let up on the pressure to cut the strumming short or the note short. Then D over F sharp, same thing. And then the next measure, I do a full measure of E minor. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Next measure after that, a half measure of E minor. 1 and 2 and on 3, same idea. 3, mute, 4, D over F sharp. Okay, so it may take you a while to get to where you can, till you're used to cutting that off. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, that's the trickiest part of the intro or any of the verses or choruses. So take some time, get that down. And if you need to strum just straight eighth notes on a G through that, you can do that for now. Just simplify it as much as you need to have success with the song. Okay, so after that last little bit, you just have 2 more measures of G to finish the intro. Straight eighth notes. So let me play the whole thing for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that ends up being the entire intro for you. It's just 6 measures, so that's the chord progression you want to get down.
Long as I remember, the rain been coming down, clouds of mystery pouring, confusion on the ground.
After that, you head into the verse, the first verse of the song, and it's the same vibe throughout the entire verse, but it gets easier because there's no accents or any cut short notes for now. So verse 1 starts out, long as I remember. So 2 measures of G, a measure of C, and then a measure of G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. Okay, next 4 measures are the exact same, so you just kind of repeat what you just did. Well, clouds of mystery pouring, G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C for measure, G for measure. Okay, and that's the entire verse. Verse 2 and 3 are a little bit different. There's 1 extra chord in there, but it's the same basic structure. So just play through that 2 measures of G, 1 measure of C, 1 measure of G twice. Let me just do that whole verse for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Long as I remember, the rain coming down, clouds of mystery pouring, confusion on the ground.
Good men through the ages, trying to find the sun. And I wonder, still I wonder, who'll stop the rain?
Right, then you get into the chorus. Not much changes here. The chord progression is a little bit different, but still very much the same vibe. Measure of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, C, G. Okay, so that's the first 4 measures of the chorus. C, G, C, G, 1 measure each. After that, the next 4 bars of the chorus are just C for 1 measure, D for 1 measure, E minor for 1 measure, then G for 2 measures. Okay, and you can get fancier with the strumming pattern later on, but until you can get through the chord progressions and, just straight 8th note strumming pattern with good timing, playing along with the song, don't even worry about any of that. So that whole chorus from the beginning will be 1, 2, 3, 4. D, E minor, 2 measures of G. Okay.
I went down Virginia, seeking shelter from the storm. Caught up in the fable, I watched the tower grow.
Verse 2 is exactly like verse 1, except for 1 chord. The progression is just G, 2 measures of G, 1 measure C, 1 measure G, just like verse 1. 1 measure C, 1 measure G. That's the first 4 bars. The next phrase or the next 4 bars are where it changes. So 1 measure of G, then you have 1 measure of B minor, then 1 measure C, followed by 1 measure of G. Okay, so that B minor, you may have to put some work on going from open chord to a bar chord, because that's probably the trickiest part of playing as far as your left hand to get to a really intermediate level, switching to bar chords. to open chords or between the two. So that whole verse will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, back to G. G again. B minor. C for one measure. G for one measure. Okay, from there just go to a chorus again, exact same thing. Rap and go and chase. And I want this, still I want it. E minor. 2 measures of G. And that gets us to the bridge of the song that's a little more accented. So you gotta kind of be careful with that. The strumming pattern changes here. It starts on a C and you go down, up, down. And on the second down there, you gotta mute, palm mute. Okay, so down, up, down, that's 1 and 2. And then on and of 2, just do an upstroke on a G. And then on 4, you're gonna go downstroke on a D. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then let that carry out through the entire next measure. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. And I'll count that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and then you have the exact same rhythm in the next 2 measures, but the chords change a little bit. You go, instead of a C, you go to an A minor for the first little rhythm. So down, up, muted strum. And then on the and of 2, you have a C. So down, up, down, C on the and of 2. And then on the 4, you have an E minor that carries out through most of the next measure. But on beat 4, you have a D that you hit with the downstroke and choke it a little bit short. So best way to do this is to just listen to the recording and you'll pick up on it and start to memorize it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll play that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go back into 2 measures of G with just a straight 8th note strumming pattern. Okay, that gets you into verse 3, which is a carbon copy of verse 2, exactly the same. 2 measures of G, measure C, measure G, another measure G, comes up B minor, C, G. So nothing new or different here.
Still the rain kept pouring, falling on my ears. And I wonder, still I wonder, who'll stop the rain?
The chorus coming here next, there's nothing new or different here except you have to play less. I'll show you what I mean. It's just a normal chorus, C for one measure, G, C, G, C, D. Now when you get to this E minor, you just hit it and let it hold out through the next 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that last chorus will be 1, 2, 3, 4. C, G, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, from there you just go to the outro, which is the exact same thing as the intro, but you play this little 4-bar phrase 4 times as you fade out. So just a whole measure of 8s again on a G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. D over F sharp, 4. E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just do that 4 times, just keep looping it. And one thing I will mention here is he doesn't choke the notes at the end of each little, every 2 measures. Sometimes on this one, on the outro, he'll just let them ring out. There's a little bit of variation there, so don't feel like you have to be rigid with that or stick to those mutes there, or those choked notes. Okay, that's the basic structure, layout, chord progressions, you know, basic strumming of that song. Now let's look at the strumming pattern that's actually in the song. When you can play this with straight 8th notes, try to upgrade to this one. And it's kind of I wouldn't call this slap strums. I would call it muted strums, because a slap strum, when I do something like this, it's very loud and percussive, right? That's not really what's happening. It's much more gentle. Like the only thing you can really hear is my hand hitting the guitar a little bit right there. So that gives a lot of the style. It kind of puts some rest. It's almost like having rest. But the basic strumming pattern is a down and an up, still all 8th notes, down, up, and every downstroke for the rest of a measure is going to be muted. So, and then up, up, up. Okay, so down, up, down. So you may have to put in some work. You can hear some strings ringing out. Those are actually the strings up here above the nut. But you want the strings to all be really muted and not have something like that happen or something like this with a low string ringing out or something like that. So you have to work on your aim. But that is the strumming pattern throughout the entire song. And one thing that I was experimenting with was like, which pick angle can I do this best with? And if we're going through a Strumming Doctor live course right now with a bunch of mastermind classes for strumming, and we're talking about picking angle and how you hold the pick and stuff. And what I found when I'm muting this much, I found that if I angle the pick up a little bit towards the ceiling, it's much easier for me to hold on to the pick, and it's much easier for me to be accurate with my muting. If I hold it down to the floor like this, I find that to be a little bit harder, so you want to play around with the angle of the pick. But if I take this and I go up and I look at just at the intro, we'll go through the intro and a verse so you can see how this would be applied. So I start out right off the bat with that strumming pattern. And then on 3, I hit a quarter note, mute the whole thing, and then D over F sharp, mute the whole thing. So that's how you'd apply that strumming pattern. The whole first measure, down, up, mute, up, mute, up, mute, up, down, up, mute, up. Quarter note, and then with the E minor. And then once I get to the 2 Gs and the last 2 measures of the intro, I just play that strumming pattern throughout the entire thing. So that's 2 measures of that strumming pattern on a G. When you apply it to the verse, same thing. Every time you start a new measure, it has to start over. So then C, another G, C. And you can see if I really dig in and do like a slap strum. If you're playing with the full band, that kind of destroys the feel of the whole song or the strumming pattern. But if you're playing by yourself, without a full band, without a drummer, you might want to add the slaps in there. Just to fill out the percussion a little bit. But if you're not, this becomes more of a rhythmical kind of shaker thing. So you'll hear it when I do the full play along through here. I'm pretty gentle with it to keep it kind of in the style of what Fogarty was doing, or whoever's playing acoustic guitar in there. Okay, that's it for this one. Let me encourage you again, go to guitarfam.com and join the community there. It's free to get started with a complimentary account. You'll be able to access and participate in all the live community events we do, and then you'll be able to schedule your first personal private one-on-one lesson with me, that first complimentary one. Again, you can download all the resources for this lesson there too. Hope to see you there.
Long as I remember, the rain been coming down, clouds of mystery pouring, confusion on the ground. Good men through the ages, trying to find the sun, and I wonder, still I wonder, who'll stop the rain. I went down Virginia, seeking shelter from the storm, caught up